So the Flip has been out for some weeks now and people are hating this. People really hate this drone and some people really like this drone. I kind of like this drone. The design is a little bit strange, but overall it's not the design I look at, but my whole flying experience and flight experience. But of course it has some cons and some issues that needs to be addressed. So we're gonna talk about them in today's video and let's dive right into it. Now, the first issue here that needs to be addressed is the fact that this has no manual controls in the app. And even when flying manual with the virtual joysticks, this is a big problem if you want to get creative outside of the pre-made flight modes. You just can't decide for yourself how the footage should look, and your footage is basically in the hands of DJI's algorithm. Now, for the DJI Neo, I can understand that because it's a $200 drone, but the Flip, which actually has a really good camera and D-Log M 10-bit, should definitely have this option by now if you ask me. I mean, when you capture videos in D-Log M 10-bit, it might not be relevant because it's a flat color profile, so you will be able to adjust all the settings in post later. But if you're a run and gun shooter and wants to capture some memorable videos on the go, which you can transfer directly over to your phone and then upload straight to social media, you might want to prefer to go with the normal color profile. And even though it's a big step up from the Neo, sometimes the white balance is just way off and the image quality is also badly exposed. So please, DJI, make sure to add manual settings, pro settings for the DJI Flip in the DJI Fly app. I think we all need that at this time. Another thing is also sharpness control. For this, you would need a dedicated RC controller, RCN2, 3, or the RC2 controller in order to adjust the sharpness control. And I'm not sure what it is with these default settings, but all these drones, the image is just way too sharp out of the box, especially these cheap drones like the Mini series and the Neo and also the Flip. So if we can't have sharpness control on the Flip here, I would at least prefer to have a firmware update which puts the sharpness to -1 by default, because out of the box, you know, it kind of looks bad. Even though it has a better camera, it's a little bit too sharp in my opinion. Just my opinion though, you might have a different opinion on this, so let me know in the comments below. So it would be greatly appreciated, and I also think that would increase the sales on these drones, even though it's already selling like hotcakes. Now, talking about hotcakes, I'm not sure about you if you already own the Flip yourself, but this drone really hates the sun. So we were out shooting a comparison video with the Flip and the X1 Pro Max from Hover. Make sure to check out that video after this one. But basically what happened was that the Flip was tracking me perfectly fine, just like I'm used to, but as soon as it got to a point where the sun popped, the infrared sensing system went all crazy and the drone just hovered in place and didn't want to respond. And I also tested this again when I turned the sensing system off, went for a walk, and it all happened again. So it has nothing to do with the actual settings by turning the infrared sensing system on or off, but whatever is going on inside where the infrared sensing system sits. And I also did the exact same path with the X1 Pro Max and I didn't have any issues at all. So this is actually a huge problem in my opinion. Imagine doing this on a bike at speed and every time it sees the sun, it just stops. So you will be spending more time recovering the drone than actually riding the trail. Now, with that said, I do believe DJI is working on a fix for the sensor because there has been some issues reported by other people as well. And I've also experienced some of these issues with the sensor in foggy environments myself, which has not only been messing with the sensor here, but also the focus. I just hope it's around the corner because capturing some follow and tracking shots at sunset or sunrise on my upcoming trip might be an issue as far as I know. So I'll get back to that in a different video to let you know how this works in those types of scenarios, but it was pretty strange to see this just suddenly stop and hover in place just because it got some sun. Now, talking about tracking, the Flip here has direction track, which is amazing. I really like this direction track and I've been using it a lot of times and will continue using it for a lot of times, but I wish we had direction track on the RC2 controller as well, so I would be able to pull the drone further away. In my opinion, it tracks a little bit too close, even when it's set too far, and at this time, direction track is only available when flying with or without your smartphone. smartphone. But again, this would be an easy fix with a firmware update to just allow us to have that on the RC controller. I think that would make a huge difference if you want to do some front-facing tracking and you want the distance and also you want to use the RC controller, because now you're basically limited to the basic tracking of yourself. So to have this front-facing tracking on the RC controller would be hugely beneficial for a lot of us. So please make sure to add this in the future. That would be really, really awesome. Now, another thing when it comes to tracking, which is, I think it's essential, is bypass. There's no bypass option at this time, only brake and off, where a bypass option would actually allow us to have a smoother tracking experience, like with the Mini 4 Pro, which is amazing at consistent speeds, even on a fairly dense forest trail. So the way that this works is that the drone flies in a straight line, and when it picks up on an obstacle, it will just brake and hover. And at best, it will try to push itself through, but that's also a downside, because if it hits something, it will go all crazy and either drop down or start descending. So I would really like to see a bypass option on this drone in the future, and I think that will make a much better tracking experience. Even if it doesn't have a proper avoidance system like the Mini 3 Pro or the Mini 4 Pro, I do think the bypass option is the way to go for the smoothest possible tracking experience when you're out doing a follow mission. When it comes to tracking itself and the distance of how far away it's tracking you, I do think it's a little bit close, even at far and high. So I would really like to see this adjusted with a future firmware update. I mean, with the controller, I'm able to push the drone further back and get these amazing tracking shots, which also appears wider because the drone is further away. So take a look at these side-by-side shots with the flip here when using the RC2 controller, and also the onboard follow mode without using a smartphone or a controller. And as you can see, without the controller, it seems to clip my feet now and then, and the camera does also have this up and down movement, or more of it, because it's way too close compared to the tracking shot done with the RC2 controller, where I was able to pull the drone a little bit further back. And I mean, we do have a 20-meter limit on helix, so it shouldn't be impossible to just add a few extra meters to follow and direction track. I'm not saying that any of these are major cons with the DJI Flip, it's just that some of these fixes would hugely improve the already great experience from an already great and amazing drone. So to just have a few meters extra would definitely make a huge difference for me personally, and I do think it would make a huge difference for you as a DJI Flip owner as well. Now, another thing that would make a great experience is to finally get return to home on the Flip here, and also the Neo, of course. This might not apply to every single person out there, but for me, flying in -15 to -20 degrees Celsius at times, it would be really helpful to just have that one button I can tap and the drone will automatically come back, even if it's only like 50 meters away, because 50 meters is the limit. And talking about the limit, from my understanding, there is already a set home point in some way when you fly with your smartphone. So I was actually out testing this, and we started from one point, and instead of just landing the drone between each spot, I just continued flying with the manual mode on my smartphone. And when we come to the last spot, I also got this message saying max distance reached, even though I was literally standing 3 meters away from the drone, which is pretty strange. But this just tells me that there is obviously something in there which is already prepared for a return to home function, whether this is on the Flip or the Flip 2. But my guess is that this is something coming in the future. I just don't know when. And also, it would be nice to have a little bit more range. I mean, the Hover Air X1 Pro Max has 500 meters, or like 200 meters in reality, but that's 150 meters longer than the DJI Neo and the DJI Flip. So I don't know about you guys, but I would really like to see these upgrades added to the DJI Flip, and to be honest, it would make a huge difference, especially when you just want to grab the drone and grab some shots without having to carry around a controller. So really, let me know your comments below, guys, and if there is anything I missed that you would like to see fixed as well, just make sure to drop them down below. But also, with that said, the Flip hasn't been out for that long yet, and we should be seeing some improvements over the time. I just think it's important to highlight some of these features that we need and the things that we need to be corrected. So make sure to comment your thoughts down below, and also drop a like so this video can reach more people which might be interested in these updates and these features as well. So yeah, I think that's a wrap for this video. Make sure to hit that subscribe button as well if you haven't subscribed already. That would be greatly appreciated. And also thanks for watching, and I will catch you in the next one. Make sure to leave your things down below so this can reach more people, like I said. But until next time, take care. Bye bye.